Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another fun-filled Sunday. We are here with the Go4 Americas Heroes. Go4Heroes Americas Cup number 11. We even practiced this and everything, and I'm just really out of practice. My good friend, Mr. Shane Gucci, here to be helping me with the coverage here with Cup number 11. It's been a little bit, sir. Good to see you.
2 weeks, I believe. 3 weeks. Oh, no, it's been more than that because I had to. You're right. It's been longer than that. But it's good to see you, too.
Thank you.
Glad to be casting back for the ESL as always. Got to cast the last North American HPL qualifier last night, and it was an absolute blast.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a lot of really interesting drafts from teams that otherwise don't really... teams that haven't really made a name for themselves yet, but obviously are trying to, and some of them are included in this this ESL, so I'm looking forward to see how they perform against the bigger names, like Tempo Storm and Evil Geniuses and whatnot. So looking forward to that. But the match we're going to be casting today, I believe, Sean, is Vivid Gaming versus Team Heroes Hype. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, Heroes Hype, they have done some really good things as of late, and Vivid Gaming's really been making a name for themselves. They're in the HPL.
Yes.
I was able to cover their qualifiers about 3 weeks ago or so. And Team Heroes Hype, who did they just beat out? Because they're in the ESL majors now. They were able to actually, because of some of the roster switches, they're able to get into the majors.
That's right.
So not actually sure why they're allowed to play this cup, but c'est la vie. There it is. So without further ado, the draft has now started, and this is right on the back of the latest patch, which introduced the Lost Vikings. We just saw them there on break for a little bit, and everything is up in the air. The drafts are absolutely insane, and we could be seeing some interesting things here today, Shane.
Yes, if yesterday's HPL is foreshadowing to today, we're going to see some Illidan. I predict some Illidan. Also, I'm going to make some bold predictions right now, and I won't say what teams I think are going to pick this, but I will say I think more than one team is going to be playing Diablo and Jaina. I think we're going to see Diablo and Jaina picks later today, but again, I won't go too deep into that. I've been talking to quite a few players who've been saying Diablo is actually, not in an absolute poop status state, and we might see him picked up. And obviously, Illidan has had his shift in the meta as well. But that is for us to see a little bit later. Looking at a draft right now, looks like pretty standard stuff. The bans, Heroes Hype banned out the Witch Doctor Nazebo, and Vivid Gaming banned out Tassadar. The first pick for Heroes Hype was Sergeant Hammer, Sergeant Hamabama, coming back once again to the Cursed Hollow. And Vivid Gaming getting their hands on Stitches, the warrior we all know and love, and already picking up their healing support in the first round of their draft with Rhaegar.
Now you say all pretty standard stuff, but let's hold the phone, Mr. Shane. 1 week ago, these guys are absolute crackers to be doing this. I mean, nobody sees this. Nobody ever does this, but this patch has brought some amazing changes. Sergeant Hammer with the Nexus Frenzy at level 20 could hit 18.1 range in-game with the graduating. Stitches these days, not even worth the ban anymore because Nazebo and Tassadar just always strong in general.
Yep.
But and then Rhaegar, where did he come from? We've been seeing the rise of Rhaegar steadily over the last 2 weeks or so, but this patch has really put him into the forefront.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the Brightwing nerfs. Yesterday in the Heroes Premier qualifier, we didn't see Brightwing once at all. The only 3 healing supports that we saw were Uther, Malfurion, and Rhaegar, with the priority putting on Rhaegar a little bit more than Malfurion. We saw a couple double healer compositions and whatnot being run by teams, but Rhaegar, as you said, he's had a steady ramp up, and then with the nerfs to Brightwing, I think we're going to be seeing him picked quite often, as he's pretty much going to be the replacement for Brightwing as far as the tier list of healing supports goes, I believe. And I love seeing Rhaegar because as a healing support, he can be a little bit, I feel like he's the most aggressive healing support. Because he can, slip in and out with Ghost Whiff and whatnot.
Yep.
And I also like that he has 2 viable heroic options. It's not kind of like, it's a Malfurion, so we know we're going to see Tranquility. Oh, it's a Uther, so we know we're going to see Divine Storm. You can throw in, as a pocket strategy, Bloodlust compositions. And I love casting Bloodlust compositions because it's just mayhem all over the place. I don't know if that's what we're going to see. Obviously, we're going to take a look as the draft goes on. But the another hero... talk about heroes who have made a big surge in the meta, Sean.
Yeah.
ETC being picked up here for Heroes Hype.
Now, I mean, almost every MOBA I've ever casted has some kind of Tauren Minotaur. It's
Right,
the
yeah.
battle cow, and everyone
Yeah.
loves the battle cow. But ETC coming out with a little bit more of even a damage build on top of things. We've been seeing a heck of a lot of Echo Pedal in the talents, which is the pulse every time you cast that ability. And on the back of that, you can supplement your heals. You get movement speed out of it. You talked a little bit about Bloodlust, goes very well into that. But Mosh Pits, we've seen stage dives. It's absolutely insane how we've had such a big meta shift. So, we were talking about some of these stronger ones, and now they're really thinking about their next picks here. But what are some of the weaker picks coming into this patch? I mean, Arthas has almost become a ghost. No.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much of Arthas. I think Kerrigan as well. We saw Kerrigan yesterday. However, she went 1-1 yesterday, and it kind of was the match where she won was a lopsided match where it's not like they won because of the Kerrigan pick. I don't think we're going to see Kerrigan very much, specifically because Rewind has been moved to level 20. Some heroes just outright don't have it anymore. Some heroes who didn't have it now have it, but now it's at level 20. So balancing-wise, Rewind is a completely different spot, and heroes that really relied on it, that were big in the North American meta, heroes like Kerrigan, heroes like Murden, I don't think we're going to see as much of them at all. I'll be surprised if we see Kerrigan, and I think definitely think there's a potential to see a Illidan, a little bit more Illidan play, especially with Rhaegar becoming a big support because Ancestral Healing supports Illidan so very much, as well as if you can get a Tassadar in there. The Rhaegar Tassadar Illidan combination is a very tried and true. We've seen throughout competitive Heroes of the Storm. Obviously, we're not going to see it this match though. However, there still is the potential to see an Illidan with the Rhaegar Ancestral Healing. We'll see as time goes on. As far as ETC goes, and what I like about this hero is we see different play styles out of him. And that is, we can see the Mosh Pit heroic out of him, or we can see that global presence with Stage Dive, where you kind of initiate in the backline of Stage Dive, and at the same time, you just soak up lanes and soak as efficiently as you can, utilizing the Stage Dive appropriately. And this is another, the Vivid Gaming picking up Tyrant here, and as well as Tychus, two heroes. Again, Tychus got changed drastically, but I want to talk about Tyrant, as she has really been used almost as a counter to Sergeant Hammer. Every time I've seen this hero picked up, it's almost in 100% of the time versus a Sergeant Hammer, and that still applies to this situation right now.
The Lunar Blaze, I believe.
Yes.
Or is Lunar Blaze? Lunar Flare. Yeah, Lunar Blaze
Flare,
is the
yes.
talent.
Correct.
Yeah, the range on that can easily hit a very parked hammer, especially all the way up to 16 before you get the graduating. Not a bad choice whatsoever. You also got the grenade, will also hit the Sergeant Hammer backwards. You also get a Rainer in there for penetrating to push her away or push her forward, depending on how the gank is happening. But you're right, Tychus, he no longer has that second health bar. And that is something that a lot of people are still actually getting very used to, especially in the solo queue. We've been doing some of the hero stuff here. And, well, don't see this every day on the Cursed Hollow, but we talked a bit, Brightwing has actually been nerfed. The base stats and the base health scaling has definitely been taking a hit, so she's a little bit more of a squishy dragon these days, but this is not something we see a lot of. It is going to be a Gazlowe, and there is a big theory about there. Gazlowe and Sky Temple, the turret build, you can definitely do some really good things with the shrines, but I guess we're going to see if that same theory applies here for the tributes.
I mean, it kind of does, but the tributes are a little bit more dynamic in that there is a systematic approach to the way tributes spawn, but it's a little bit more random than with the Sky Temple. The temples are, they're static, they don't move. However, the tributes are a little bit more dynamic in that, yes, they'll spawn in one hemisphere of the map or the other. Okay. This is not real life. We'll talk about this in a second.
You can talk about it now because I'm about to hit the button.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, release the Goocher now.
Oh! There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The soprano Sonya Barbarian is coming out here today from Vivid Gaming. So this is a draft one to remember. I'm looking at Heroes Hype Draft now that the draft is complete. I'm pretty sure what they're going to be doing here is stage dive on ETC using Brightwing's global presence, which has been nerfed. Phase shift used to be 30 seconds, now it's 45 seconds, but it's still potent nonetheless. Where I talked about it a little bit with the ETC pickup, where you have global presence, and now it's just compounded by the fact that they have two global heroes. So they'll really be able to soak so very efficiently, even if maybe they fall behind in structure objectives or in team fights. That can be made up through being able to soak the lanes much more efficiently, being able to have a global presence on the map. The last team I saw run a strategy like this, and executed it very, very well was Cloud9 Vortex versus Cloud9 Maelstrom, which again, those two teams have had significant draft changes since then, but they played it very, very well. Again, that was before Brightwing was nerfed or even ETC was really seen in the meta. But I think that's what we're going to see here from Team Heroes Hype. From Vivid Gaming, I mean, Sonya is, maybe they're just going all in on this hammer, man. The Sonya leap onto a Lunar Flare. You have the Ancestral Healing backing up Sonya, as Sonya's big weakness is she just gets absolutely blown up before she does any damage. Well, they have the Rhaegar with Ancestral Healing to fall back on. I don't think we're going to see a Bloodlust here. There is the potential to see a Bloodlust because Stitches could go Putrid Bile, Tyron could go Starfall, and all of a sudden Bloodlust on top of that. You have the snare from Starfall, you have the snare from Putrid Bile, and obviously a Tychus Odin in the background just absolutely doing work. And one thing to touch on about Odin that was changed, you're correct in that it no longer resets. It doesn't give you that second health bar. However, activatable abilities can be used in it, like Searing Attacks, Bolts of the Storm, things like that. So Odin has lost its defensive capabilities and that it pretty much resets your HP. However, offensively, it's actually more potent than it was before. So Tychus definitely is a strong hero. However, his play style is much different. You can't be as reckless with him as you used to be able to. So whoever is playing that Tychus is definitely going to have to remember that, because yesterday in HPL, you can tell there were times where they forgot they don't get that second health bar because they just like run in there and then they Odin with like 1% HP and go, oh yeah, and just die. So I don't think we're going to see that this time around, though. But we are in the match here, Sean, on Cursed Hollow. And let's go ahead and introduce these teams real quick. On the left side of your map, in blue is going to be Team Heroes Hype, El Pedro Parca playing the ATC. Looks like he's going to go in top lane. Mid lane is going to be Ursidon. Not the Ursidon, but Ursidon playing Sergeant Hammer. Bottom lane, we're going to have the Gazlo by Hawkfu, Suki playing Brightwing, and Suki and Yuki. Yuki playing the Vol Demon Hunter.
Yeah, Suki and Yuki. Now, on the flip side, a team that I've actually spent quite a bit of time with in Hero League in Quick Match, and definitely they seem to make their way into a lot of my casts as of late. Team Vivid. It's going to be represented here in red. Lex Uther heading into the bot with the Fight Dog. Daihu mid with Silol and Slime, and that leaves us with Ego to be going into the top with the solo Tychus. So the lane split's a little bit more different than I would have actually called, but it does look like they're going to be trying to put pressure bottom lane. Yeah, at least from the Heroes Hype point of view, with Hawkfu, you got Suki and Yuki there, so they're just going to try to keep pushing that in. But you leave yourself a very vulnerable Ursidon in the mid, and we do have this, the hooks, the spears, and the lunar shots from Tyrande. All things that could be really big trouble.
Bottom lane. Oh no, bottom lane is gonna potentially live. He got hooked underneath the towers. He's only got about 1% HP. He's now behind the safety of his gates. There was a rotation of Tyron and Barbarian down to the bottom lane, and that Lunar Flare just barely missed that Gazlo. I thought he was going to go down for sure, but they've already forced him back to the fountain. He's still only at a quarter life, and right now this Gazlo pick doesn't look like it's doing too much, as they almost got a pick off 3v2.
Yeah, the hook was actually really, really slick. It got right between those creeps and got him right there into it. But the roam down, still very close for the kill. It would have been amazing had they got it, but it does look like we're just bouncing back and forth. Look at this. We're having another gank heading down bottom. They push as hard as they can, and then they come down and they go back and forth. We've seen that actually on Dragonshire from teams. I believe it was ZP's team that actually. Well, not anymore. No. His old
Glorious.
team. Glorious, yeah. I believe it was Glorious that actually started popularizing that for Dragonshire. But, haven't seen it here on the Cursed. Oh, another hook coming through.
Yeah, but Yuki's going to vault out of there. That's not the target they're going to look for. It looks like a turnaround on Ivy Slime. He's going to go down. So there's our first blood going the way of Team Heroes. They have level 4, so they had a big, significant advantage in that team fight with the level 4 talent. And right now, bottom lane, they're okay. This Gazlo they're pushing here pretty damn well. That tier 1 top tower in the bottom lane is going to be going down. The bottom one is already out of ammo at about 3/4 HP, and the experience gain is showing itself right now as they have maybe about a quarter to half level advantage, but they hit that level 4 beforehand, and that's really what enabled them to get that first blood in bottom lane.
Now I'm taking a look at the battle cow top as he's making his way up against Ego, but Ego not going to be able to get interrupted out of that overkill, which turns quite a bit of damage there to the battle bovine. But level 5 to 4, both teams do have their separate set of talents, and it's double passes for our Gazlo. Scrap-O-Matic Smelter into Reduce, Reuse, Recycle, and they have really pushed down this gate. It's been a slow and steady burn, not very bursty, but 3 turrets up, the damage is real, and they drained out exactly all the ammunition. And they're able to get out that early gate. Puts them in a good half-level lead here as the first tribute spawns.
Yeah, the first tribute spawning, and it's spawning in a very prime location for Heroes Hype, as they already had that wave pushed in. They got the towers, and this is the closest tribute that spawned to them. You can tell that Vivid is very aware. There's no chance we're gonna be able to defend that. The turrets are gonna be setting up in time. That would be suicide to walk into that. Literally would be a minefield. So they're just gonna forego getting that tribute. They're gonna continue to soak lanes. They knew they weren't going to get a kill there. However, the push continues on bottom. Team Heroes Hype needs to be careful here. They do have level 7. They just got it. So once again, a big talent advantage, but they got to be careful about overextending. If they get caught with a Lunar Flare and a good rotation from Sonya, that could really spell disaster here. But right now, Vivid isn't really responding to it. I think that's a tribute to the fact that Barbarian just soloed these Siege Ogre camps and is now going to have to hearth back and heal up.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Sonya as well. I mean, Shot of Fury gives her now 50 Fury instead of the 25, so it's a really nice big burst, can get you off a lot of your ability. And also looks like she took Furious Blow into Shattered Ground, so there's going to be a bit more of the Hammer of the Ancients build. Well, it's actually not called that anymore. It's called Seismic Slam. But still, I mean, first tribute down, nobody rotates into the bottom lane to help it out, and the turrets have just absolutely decimated Fort.
Yes.
This is Fort before second turret. 1 kill on the board, very little counter pressure come out from Vivid, and what are they doing in the other lanes? Not much at all. Ursadon is still there, able to push out and clear with the seed mode. The battle cow up top has not suffered any losses whatsoever, and now we're setting up here for the second tribute for Heroes Hype.
Barbarian, once again, is completely out of position and picking up those night camps. Lex Uther is way overextended. Right now, it looks like Vivid Game are not on the same page, and they're getting punished for it. They now are down a 2-level discrepancy. The Stitches is in the front line. He's going to be going down as well. You can just sit in the back line, picking away at him with the right clicks. And right now, Team Heroes Hype is in an excellent position. They have 2 tributes. They have a level advantage. They have an advantage on map pressure with bottom tier 1 structures already being completely torn up. It looks like their strategy for the early game with this Barbarian is, one of Barbarian's strengths is she can solo camps because of the lifesteal she gets on Whirlwind, which is great and all. However, the mercenary camps aren't as much of a priority as they used to be. Speaking of which, the boss being taken bottom lane, I like this because the bottom structures are already gone, which means this bottom lane boss has just straight away right to these tier 2's bottom lane, and they're worth 650 experience each. But they're using that Barbarian to get these mercenary camps, but the mercenary camps are not as strong as they used to be. I mean, they're kind of fallback options. They're secondary objectives. They're not really primary objectives. And Vivid is using them as primary objectives, attaining them with this Barbarian, and that means she's off of the map, and they did not have a response for this push bottom, and they got punished, and that's really the name of the game so far, is they didn't have a response to this Gazlo push. That's why they're so far behind. It looks like they're going to be pushing top lane. They got to be careful. They don't have heroics. Team Heroes Hype does, and they got to be really careful here. Now they have a curse right now. This is not looking good for Vivid at all whatsoever, but they are pushing into this 4v3. Now it's a 4v4. Hawkblue going in there. The grab bomb is put out. Gonna secure the stun and kill onto Barbarian. And once again, this is just looking phenomenal for them right now, Sean.
Yeah, they got the curse. That boss is now basically going unimpeded into the bottom lane. They get themselves a kill top, and Daihu, well, he does get his heroic off. It's not going to be a kill whatsoever. Ego is going to throw out that Odin, but 3-on-1, and his towers are not firing, whereas these turrets aren't for Gazlo. He is not looking good for Ego whatsoever. At the same time, we've all said Urson, he pushed Slime all the way back to base, and Lex Uther has finally now joined the fray. I mean, he was bottom lane dealing with this boss the entire time. When you're down your main support, this for the entire fight, yeah, it is 6 kills to 0. Teams Hero Hype have really taken this early game, and they've solidified themselves into now a talent tier advantage. They got this, they got the curse, they got the kills. They're looking to pressure out a keep. They got 8 seconds left on this curse, and I doubt they're actually going to get it. But the mosh pit, that's a big problem. El Petroparca now doesn't have that kind of pressure, but will that actually be enough to deter Vivid from engaging?
They got to be careful. Hawkblue might be going down here. There's the protective shield. There, finally, the Barbarian contributes something. Can use his treachery healing. It is barely not enough. Almost went off there. Their turnaround immediately evident from Team Heroes Hype. 2 going down right away in the Sonya and the Rhaegar Shaman. And the push is going to continue to go on here. They still have the Brightwing. Brightwing has that free AoE sustain that he can put out, and they're just going to continue to pummel on this top keep. There is a hook onto Suki with a blanket overkill into a good Lunar Flare. So that's the kill they needed right there to make Heroes Hype want to back up. They got the healing support. The sustain for that push is gone, and Team Heroes Hype is going to back up and try to fall back on some other secondary objectives.
So a few kills go in the way of Vivid. That's actually the first 2 kills of the game, and it took them 7 minutes to grab it. That is not a good early game for any stretch of the imagination. But Heroes Hype, they do got that 13 talent tier. Phase Shield. Phase Shield. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't get rewind anymore because that is now level 20, as we talked about a little bit earlier, and not entirely too sure what's going on. Perhaps talking to your mic for a second here.
Hello.
Weird. It's kind of going a little fuzzy, sir. Don't know.
Stand by.
Okay. But face shield, not something that we've ever really seen too much of. It's popped up here and there, but it is not by far a popular talent by any means. But if you don't know what it does, face shield gives you a point, a scaling point shield every time you use that on top of somebody. I can just hear you fiddling with your mic. Funny.
How we doing?
That sounds better. I'll let you know.
Okay. Sorry about that.
I don't know what really caused it.
The patch cable for my preamp to my mixer is being a little finicky, and I apologize. I'm gonna get a new one here soon. But if that happens again, just let me know, Sean, and I'll fix it right away.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Another thing, I talked about the rewind a little bit. That Tyron had rewind at level 13, and we were seeing occasionally her going rewind over the talent Lunar Blaze, because the double Lunar Flare is just almost a guaranteed kill. You just do two Lunar Flares back to back with the double owl and whatnot. However, now that she can get the Lunar Blaze and rewind at level 20, she just becomes this long-range stunner, and it is so efficient. One of the reasons why we see her picked up so much is because she can get both the talents of rewind and Lunar Blaze, and also at level 16, she can either go with the long-range Hedwig talent, or she can go with the extra damage and decreased mana cost on any Lunar Flare that lands as well. But I believe the go-to one is the extra damage on Lunar Flare, especially if you're going with the increased range, increased AoE, and you can get 2 of them with level 20 at rewind. But the next tribute is here, level 16, is going to be coming for Team Heroes Hype. Once again, Vivid are just not in the position to defend whatsoever. They're going to go ahead and sacrifice that tribute, so it really doesn't mean much at this point in time, and try to make up some ground as far as map control goes here. Push into these tier 1 towers mid lane and possibly have their eyes on the support right here.
Right,
but they got to be careful. Look what's going on top lane.
Yeah, they're really looking for that fort pressure. Hawk Fu is not even going to pretend to go down the lane. Just going to go straight into it with the double bomb to pick up. Talent choices, definitely we're seeing some very weird kind of things. You know, it is a new patch. We are seeing some really interesting new metas coming out. But Barricade, something you've never really seen in high-level heroes before. But the Barricade is something that used to be actually very strong early in the alpha, because you could literally like almost just barricade this entire road right here. Like you can just really just stop a lot. And there it is.
Mid-tier lane, a lot of good initiation. There's a Lunar Flare, but the follow-up with the mosh pit is not enough, as it is the ETC going down. But I believe the damage was done. And, you know, the Bright Wing is also going down. So yeah, 2 for 2 exchange. Sorry, my game lagged out there, ladies and gentlemen. 2 for 2 exchange right now. There was a starfall on top of mosh pit, and that enabled ETC to just get absolutely destroyed by the Saron. I'm questioning the mosh pit choice, because going mosh pit versus the long-range snipes of a Lunar Flare, especially level 13, doesn't seem that effective. But a 2 for 2 exchange, and anytime you're behind and you get an even exchange in team fights, that is always a trade you'll be happy with, because that made up the ground a little bit for him. However, during that whole entire time, this one lone Siege Ogre has been pelting away at the core. He's not going to do too much damage, though. But yeah, that was a trade that Vivid, I think, are probably happy with, because that's going to get them their level 16, and now they have the level 16 talent. They're on even ground, at least for a little bit, until Team Heroes Hype lifts level 20, and this is a good timing for them to get themselves back into this match, as they've been on the back foot for the majority of it.
So again, like Barricade, not something we see a lot of. Hover Siege now coming out as well. We talked a bit about the graduating and everything up to 18, but here comes the gank in Daihu. He's going to get denied with that Barricade, but it's going to be a hook anyways into Ursadon. Ursadon needed to use the thrusters to try to get out of that situation. The boss is still going here. It's still attacking everyone that it can, but Sonya gets separated out with that Emerald Twin. She's going to go down, and now the rest of everyone, Pedro Parker's going in, does not have that mosh pit yet. They are just so close to some of these ultimates. We're looking at a gravel bomb possibility now, but the Starfall goes out, does not really do what it needs to do. Hawk Fu is actually chasing down Ursadon. Not Ursadon, Stitches. He gets the kill because Ursadon is there as well. Ursadon will pay for it. Hawk Fu is likely to go down. That's going to leave us now with Suki and Slime, but Slime gets himself off a stun, and it should be enough for Rhaegar to get out, but that's going to leave us Tyrande stuck in the back, and she is about to drop as well.
So down she goes. That was a very sloppy team fight, almost from both sides, but Team Heroes Hype were able to get the boss, and he is already making his way downtown through bottom lane to get this bottom keep. The response is quick from Vivid to clean it up, but El Pedro Parker is here. Yeah, the 3 remaining team members for Heroes Hype are here. and they're trying to get a kill onto Lex Luthor. He's got to be careful, though. El Pedro Parca has to be careful that he doesn't get picked off, though. They are able to get this bottom keep, so now Vivid is not in a very good spot. Both of their lateral lane keeps are down. They're going to have to worry about that catapult pressure. El Pedro is gonna be not going down here. Good lord, that was so close. An Emerald win. Here comes the Soprano falsetto leap from the Barbarian. ETC does go down, but that's just a reprisal because they got their, or I'm sorry, not a reprisal, but that's just some collateral damage because they were able to get that bottom keep, as I mentioned. And just slowly but surely, Team Heroes Hype securing themselves advantage after advantage after advantage. And Vivid Gaming has to do something quick because that level 20 is going to be here sooner rather than later for Team Heroes Hype. And I think level 20 is going to be what Team Heroes Hype is looking for to finally make that game in and push.
It should be level 20 by the time we have another tribute because we just had that one pick. This is going to be a very important tribute because on the back of a good team fight here for Vivid, it will be their first curse, which means that they could actually look for some equal keep damage. But they are down those double keeps. They still got the mid, but it's just the last bastion of real map control and defense because they got catapults coming out from both lanes. And catapults, you know, they were weaker in the past. They're definitely been buffed to a bit more of their former glory. You leave them alone for too long, and they will bring you down. But there's the 19 tick. 19th to almost the 18th. Everybody's on those talents, as you said a little bit earlier. And, you know, it's a pretty tanky team setup here from Vivid with those double stone skins.
Mid lane, Stitches got a good hook onto Hawkfu. He follow-up Lunar Blaze. He is going to go down, so this might be the team fight that Vivid is looking for. A good zoning Emerald lane is going to knock back the initiation from the Sonya. Odin has been used. Team Heroes Hype is going to want to back away from this. They knew that they don't want to take a team fight right now. Their Gazlo got picked off without contributing anything to the team fight. They saw the Odin, so they're going to back up, and this is going to be a curse. Assuming that Team Heroes doesn't defend, which I don't think they should because they have to respond to top lane. Okay, yeah, they're going to respond to top lane to the boss, and this is going to allow Vivid to pick up a curse. They're going to go for this last bottom. Nope, they're going mid lane. They want themselves a keep. They got our eyes on a keep. That's exactly what they want to do. They have a curse. Gazlo's still down for 20 seconds, and they're going to try to get as much as they possibly can done in this curse because this can be the moment they're looking for to get the experience discrepancy a little bit more in their favor. Maybe get level 20 around the same time. Hook onto a Pedro Parca, followed by the damage amplification, knocking down so very quick. But Suki's going to come in here, support his buddy. Yuki a little bit out of position. He's just going to vault away, though. The strength of the Avala right there. But now, this is what I'm worried about. They can't push in here too far. They can't overextend, because if they get initiated on here with a good grab bomb, they're just going to lose the game. So they can't overextend here. Just allow the lanes to push out a little bit with the curse. Give yourself a little bit more map presence, and then kind of take it from there. Don't be over-aggressive. You're behind. You don't want to just overextend and all of a sudden lose the game while you have a good timing window to make something happen.
Grab bomb, mosh pits, napalms. We actually just did get an eat right there on top of Hawkfu. They're going to go for the big ultimate, and they are going to grab it, but the grab bomb is real. The stun is coming out as well, the mosh pit, but here's the counter stun from Sai. He's now going to start whirlwinding, but Daihu is going to drop. Ego is still there. Ursadon's going to be on the run, but Pedro Parca is not afraid of no Odin, and now here comes the Odin as well. He's going to dash using those new thrusters that he picked up, but he is not going to live through it. And even on the back of a good curse, Silo is going to go down as well. Yuki from afar is able to solidify those kills. Not the fight that Vivid was looking for. They did not get themselves a keep, and now they are looking at losing their last bastion here in the mid.
Yep. The only real good thing that Vivid has going for them is that the Brightwing is dead for their 25 seconds, so they don't have that sustain through a push. These towers still have a lot of ammo. However, there's a Sergeant Hammer, and look at Sergeant Hammer just slowly mowing down over there, going to the keep with that graduating range. They have the level.
Does not have graduating range.
Does not have graduating range. Does have Nexus Frenzy though, and that is just absolutely ridiculous. He's pretty much going to soul that mid keep. And that is just going to be an awful position for Vivid, as if they weren't in an awful position already. A little bit of recap on that last team fight, though. They got a hook onto the Gazlo, which is definitely the target they're looking for. He's the most immobile hero on that team. However, the counter initiation from Heroes Hype was on point. El Pedro Parca knew that they were going to be following up with the Lunar Blaze, and they're going to be grouping up together to try to blow up that Hawkfu's Gazlo. He went in there with the mosh pit, followed up with the grav bomb. Meanwhile, the whole entire time, a lunar flare is on top of the whole entire team, and it just absolutely wiped the floor. So the Wombo combo showed its strength right there. And if something like that happens again, that's absolutely going to be the end of the game. So I feel like Vivid just needs to play a little bit safe, get level 20, and then look for some sort of condition to where they can, you know, find an initiation that they're looking for. They've already had a couple good hooks into Gorges, but the last time that happened, it wasn't enough. The Gazlo just, I mean, was able to get the grab bomb and the stun up. That's all he really needs to do something for these team fights. So they got to think about how are they going to hook differently. Okay, and there's a hook onto the Sergeant Hammer. But look, Pelger Parker's already in position. He already knows they're going to be grouping up. There is not a mosh pit yet. There's a big old level 20 grab bomb. Only hits on Lex Luthor, though. And Chester healing being used. That kept switches up. Meanwhile, Ego down here to the south is in the choke point with the Odin, just laying down the damage. Pelger Parker is separated from his Brightwing. He's got to be careful. Meanwhile, up here in the north, so big old skirmish is going all over the place. The Gazlo team here does get picked off, so this is actually looking pretty okay for Vivid right now. They're just about to hit level 20. They have a power play in the Gazlo being down. This is a very good opportunity for them to potentially continue this team fight. Yeah, look at that. Another hook. I don't think Team Heroes Hype was expecting that. Mosh Pit is on up, though. They still have Mosh Pit. They have to be careful about it. There's a Mosh Pit. The Barbarian and Taran going to get picked off in it. Meanwhile, Tychus is sitting there. Focus down El Pedro Parka. The damage is not going to be enough. Ego is going to be going down here. Ivy Slime is also going to be going down. Lex Luthor being picked off. All five, a full handful, going the way of Team Heroes Hype, and I think they're going to push to end this game right here, Sean.
Yeah, they definitely are. And some really good initiation right there. But as soon as we got that hammer, she got off the concussive blast, which put up the barricade. That really did defeat the positioning there of the Stitches. That's why we couldn't get that big kill shot. El Pedro Park, as you said, came in as immediately as well, kept the mosh pit. And now, even without that team, like 9 catapults, or 6 catapults, sorry, on top of your core, like, it was basically a done deal the longer they danced outside of that anyways. So, good game, well played. That is going to be it, as it looks like Team Hero Hype will be the victor for the day, as they're going to be moving on here in the Go4Heroes Americas Cup number 11.
Sonya, man.
The Sonya pick, I mean, early game, we had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Vivid was not on the same page at all. And Heroes Hype, I mean, they never really gave up that level lead. They had a little bit of issues, you know, in the mid game or so. I mean, they started losing a few fights, some good hooks, some really good counter pressure coming up. But in the end of it, man, you know, when you got to fight 20-19, usually the 20 wins.
Yeah, there definitely was an opportunity there for them to possibly turn that game around right as they hit level 20 in the last team fight. You could tell they kind of were being a little sneaky. Team Heroes Hype must have thought that Vivid backed off. That's not what happened. Vivid actually stayed to look up for another pickoff, and that is really they didn't execute it as well as they wanted to. And the turnaround from Team Heroes Hype, picking off the last 3 team members of Vivid, that was the end of the game right there. Team Heroes Hype, I feel like, had a couple opportunities to end the game a little bit earlier. I guess they wanted to be a little bit more conservative. These are best of 1, ladies and gentlemen. So anytime you see a best of 1, teams are obviously going to play a little bit more conservatively than they might otherwise play. But nonetheless, through strong team fight execution, good wombo combo was setting it up. They nailed it a good majority of the time. They won this game in a rather convincing fashion, and they're going to move on.
And that's exactly right. So they will move on. Let's take a quick look. If you guys want, of course, you know, exclamation mark brackets will bring you to the brackets page for the day. But Peppers O'Brien beat out Coconuts, and they are now going to be taking on Tempo Storm. Best of luck there. ESV Wildfire and VN Pro are still going on, but actions permitted. The RGE actually took on Onerd K.
Onerd K, a Brazilian team.
Yeah, they have the Brazilian flag there. Yeah, Go4 Americas. Of course, we talked about this off stream. You know, it is not just the U.S. But Murlocs Inc. has beat out Prime Evils Gaming, and they're taking on Tempest, who had to beat out Good Games Central. And that leaves us with Prime Heroes Gaming and Infernus. It looks like Infernus is dropped there, and they're waiting. Prime Heroes is waiting to face off against Rebirth and Evil Geniuses. A lot of teams today. It's very heartwarming.
Yes, it is. Finally, maybe we'll get the same amount as Europe, but that's I think that's for some time to come. Some time to come, nonetheless. The game I'm going to be looking forward to, which I'd imagine is going to be the case unless Peppers O'Brien manages to beat Tempo Storm, will be Team Heroes Hype versus Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm is the team to beat. They're obviously the favorites. Anytime they're in a tournament, they're the go-to favorites. Right. Looking forward to that. I'm also keeping an eye on Evil Geniuses because they've been playing better than ever. They won the ESL Go4 Pro number 9. So they won that in a pretty good manner. And another team that I've had my eye on since I've first casted them is Actions Per Minute.
Yeah.
They moved on to the bracket as well.
Yeah.
They had some impressive play yesterday versus Vivid Eclipse. Different team than Vivid Gaming. Vivid Eclipse, probably the best game. Yeah, probably the best game of the yesterday in the Heroes Premier League was Game 2 between Actions Per Minute and Vivid. It was a slobber knocker that went back and forth, back and forth. Both the teams played so well. So Actions Per Minute is another team that I'm keeping an eye on, and you guys should too, because every time I watch them, they're just getting a little bit more crisp, getting a little better with their movements on the map and whatnot, as that was one of their weaknesses. So we're going to see they're probably going to end up facing ESV Wildfire. Obviously, ESV Wildfire is a staple in the North American Heroes of the Storm competitive community. So that'll be an interesting match. So a lot of good teams facing off, and I'm really looking forward to it, man. I think it's Tempo Storm in the finals, but I'm excited to see the other teams that are going to be fighting in there, man. We're going to see a lot of good matches.
The other half of the bracket, so to speak. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to see any of those teams, let us know in the chat. We'll see if we can set something up for you. Otherwise, we will see you with somebody versus somebody. The TBAs will be coming out strong today. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the future.